What's up, guys and gals? My name is Splattercat, and we're here with the next episode of Banished. That's right, there was like a brief break because we started up Shadowrun Returns, Dragonfall, but we are back here in Helgar's Hole, kind of fiddling around with some different systems and figuring out what it is that we want to do before we move like much further into the game. I mean, I haven't really set off like cutoff points for how long I'm going to be playing this game or like what citizenry I want to get to before I stop. I probably won't do like a ton more episodes because the game is starting to get like this rinse and repeat feel to me, where it's just like, okay, well, we've done the stuff that we've done, and so now, whatever, you know what I mean? I think one of the things that I'd like to, we have the boarding house, and you guys had mentioned in a previous episode that we can't have nomads until we have the town hall, we have the boarding house, and then we have the big problem. The big problem that's been running through this entire game has been our allocation of a market. It is simply too large for me to place it anywhere with any sort of efficiency. Like, where I really probably should have put it was right here, but that was back before we had our food supply locked in. And so I had a distinct feeling that if I placed it right here, all of our outlying people would die because there was no farms or anything out there yet. So we really need to place a market before anybody else is going to show up. We can't obviously do it down here because we're using this as kind of like a game reserve type deal. We have a lot of different foresters up and going. I did increase the threshold for our logs and for our chopped wood. So I think that should help us in the future. In the last couple episodes, I had kind of told you that I'd had a problem keeping wood, and I know, jokes where they are. I know. We had problem keeping wood in stock here in Helgar's Hold. We had plenty of logs, but the other problem that we had run into is that I'm not chopping firewood fast enough. Now, that was due to a fact that we had a bottleneck down here with this stockpile where everybody was delivering here, and so all of our guys from across the realm were having to walk across the entire map just to get logs. I think we've come up with a little bit of a compromise right now, where the logs that are being chopped from down here are coming to this one, the logs from here are going to here, from here to here, and so I think we're doing a little bit better in this case with regards to our supply chains, but that still leaves us out in the dark with regards to where we want to put a market at. I mean, this would be a spot right here that we could consider, but still, it's going to wipe out a lot of our native forests. I guess I could think about toying with the idea of destroying that and shifting it slightly downwards. But I still don't like it. It's still going to be really, really inefficient. I'm still not a fan of that solution. It's one that I don't like. And so, yeah, it's still not an option that I really relish the thought of having to do just to make the market work. The other place that, I mean, putting the market up here would be a disaster because then everybody down here would die. The market is not fine-tuned to the point it needs to be right now with regards to the AI. A really, really bad idea to drop a market anywhere that you're not absolutely sure it's going to do its intended purpose. Up here, I put in a new field, and I'm not positive why I did that. I'm trying to think of what my reasoning was. It's been a couple days since I played last, and so thinking through my reasoning as to why I might have done that, it's probably because I was thinking about expanding all of our residential this way, and I wanted to make sure that there was enough food in stock for all the people that are going to be living up in this location. We may have to wait on the market until we expand out into this just lovely area that I described earlier as Arcanon. It's really our land of milk and honey. We are expanding out in this direction too, at kind of a slow canter. I mean, we're not going to sprint off in this direction right now because there's not a whole lot here to be utilized. It's much more limited by comparison to this over here, which is just like, yeah, that's the one that kind of gets us going in the morning. This is where we want to be. So I think in this episode, what I'm going to focus on is we have a lot of laborers. I'm not going to focus on getting the market in until we get our main street put in, which is probably going to run this width right here. So let's do that first, and once we get that job done, we'll start putting in houses and we'll start doing some of the other fun stuff that I had wanted to do in this episode. So I'm going to allow this to go down to right about there, and then we're just going to have a big old long main street that's going to run the entire length, and we may have people get hungry. They may get a little bit nibbly while we go out right there, but it should work out to our benefit by putting in a long road that we can work around from now on. We've got a merchant down here at the trading post, so I'm going to slow the game down for a minute. Let's go to maybe 5 times. And then we'll have a look at what he's got for us. He's got wool coats, hide coats. Oh, that's what we have. He's got pumpkin seeds, squash seeds. He brought the exact thing. We already have those, man. I would say maybe bring us out some apple seeds, maybe. I might be more inclined on, and I think that's going to be just once. So let's bring back apple seeds next time since you're a seed vendor. And we'll dismiss you this time. I think I've got the stuff on hand right now to where I could trade for apple seeds. And that'd be nice to diversify the stocks. Because right now we've got way too many nuts. Like, our colony is absolutely nuts. Like, we've got loads and loads of chestnuts. We've got loads and loads of, like, almonds or something. We've really just got way too much stuff to be harvested. And I guess I made this chestnut for some reason. We already had chestnut. But I guess we'll sit with Chestnut. We could have done Almond as well, but I guess that ship has already set sail. It is long, long gone. It's off on the horizon, bouncing about on the whales, happily. I was gonna say on the waves happily, but I guess it can bounce on whales too. That'd be more of an accident, but just like ba-dump and hit yourself a whale. I'm gonna put in some houses. Let's get started. I don't have a ton of stone, and each of these is gonna cost us a lot of stone and a lot of iron, and given that we're gonna have to shift our iron supply pretty soon. Oh, we already did. Good. Okay, so I was worried that I was gonna have to do that job as it stands right now, and it appears as though I was proactive in a previous episode and took care of that, so that makes me happy. One less job that I have to do. As much as the job wants to be done, it's just sitting there begging for it, but not gonna do it. So there is probably 120 stone gone right there. I am gonna start swapping out 100% to, we are going to be doing a lot of foresting, so I'm going to try and keep an eye on my forestry supplies as well and deactivate the places that are tearing down forests too rapidly. But we've got so many different places harvesting trees right now, I think we'll probably be alright. So what's going to happen is I've allocated, I think, 1,300 for our fuel limit. We're going to watch that number, and once it catches up, we'll figure out if that's too much or too little. If they're not able to make it to that amount, well, then unfortunately that means that we need better tree cutting operations because we don't have enough logs going around. So for example, right here, we've got a little bit of a bottleneck with nobody dropping off logs. They are chopping down trees because I see all of our large trees, our old trees, our post trees being knocked down to make way for pre-trees. You guys had also told me not to worry about crop rotating right now because as it stands, it hasn't been implemented, so I guess that's a good thing to know. We've got a couple more people coming of age and becoming laborers. And I had considered making a schoolhouse, as you guys had recommended. We do have a lot of laborers right now, which might be an indicator that endeavor might benefit us in the future. We don't have a ton of coal right now. And one of the downsides is that what you'll see is that a lot of these guys, instead of grabbing firewood, they'll grab coal sometimes, which is really kind of irritating considering I need that coal in order to make tools for ourselves. We've got Mackle-less. He's our local rapper. He replaced Mackle-more, and he's Mackle-less, and then after him it's going to be Mackle-less once we run out of Mackle. That's going to be once we're just like rehydrating all of the old raps from the past. It's going to be Mackle-less, I guess. Terrible joke. Absolutely horrific joke. Let's go ahead and allocate builders to get stuff done fast. And because we've got so many laborers right now, we may have a little bit of leeway to educate our population. Somebody or some people had said that you need between 20 to 30 to make it the full run. Because people die all the time, so you've got to be careful about that. I guess I'll go with a schoolhouse now. We bulldozed one in the last episode. We've got a large amount of residential people right here, although I'd prefer to keep it somewhere near the center, like maybe right here. Kind of minimize the journey that everybody has to make to get to school. It was right here before, and I bulldozed it in a bout of stupidity. In a hard-won race for who can do the dumbest thing, I ran against myself 5 or 6 times. And managed to bulldoze my own school district here. So nobody's educated, nobody's happy. Once all of the building jobs are done, let's speed things back up again now that I've got a feel for what's going on in our society. A couple more stone houses, which I'm pretty happy about. And our fuel limit has been fulfilled. That's good. They aren't carrying a ton over here, but they've got enough. Who's carrying the most firewood? I would estimate it would be down here. Okay, so I think this is probably going to be the time to get one of these guys out of the way. So I'm going to bulldoze one of those. And once I do that, we'll reduce our numbers by 1. Because I don't think we need this many people chopping wood. That's going to put too much firewood down here on the bottom half of the map, and it's going to keep us from having enough up here at the top of the map, which is now becoming rapidly more populous, to quote the awesome Sid Meier's game. Did Sid Meier's work on Populous? I think he did. Populous was an awesome game. I remember Populous. Is our school built? Nope, it's on its way up though. And so we need to start working on increasing our efficiency. Having educated workers is going to have the added benefit of making sure that they don't spend like added amount of time every day just drooling on themselves and like staring at pretty colors. And if there's like something shiny, you're absolutely doomed. Nothing's ever going to get done. But it has the effect of making sure that once they're educated, they know how to put together like a proper workflow. This gives them like the basic rudimentary elementary education that everybody needs in order to function properly within a growing society. And it's going to make it so that as we do jobs, we do them better. So our wood choppers will be better at that, our planters will be better at that, and it'll be great. Let's go look and see what he's got for us. This guy is trading us just kind of rudimentary sundries. I believe I'm going to trade. You guys were really kind of upset that I didn't trade my hide coats in the last one, so maybe I'll do that. We'll do, how many does he have? He has 50? Well, then I'll trade him the 40 for a 40, and then that should be perfectly fine. And there it is, and we'll dismiss him after that's been done. I don't know what our supply is looking like on leather coats right now. Let's go to our tailors, and I've got him making wool coats. So we've got like 97 wool coats. That's actually pretty incredible. Over here, we've got him making hide coats so that we've got a little bit of variety just in case. Let's start educating. And so from now on out, I'm going to try not to allocate laborers. What I will try to do is keep the laborer supply that we have. So we have 25 laborers. And what that's going to do is it's going to allow us with a baseline pool. So as people die, that's going to allow us to just replace the people who are dying in their jobs. And so hopefully that'll last long enough to where the first round of students, the young children, will be ready to go. Now this is going to take a couple years from what I understand. People have told me that it maybe takes 2 to 3 years to educate a population. I don't know, and it depends how rapidly. I mean, every time I do this, you'll see right here, people start dying. I don't know what it is about having a school, but I guess people would rather die than have their children go there, because every time I build a school, like 1,000 people die instantly. 21 laborers, though. We should be pretty square without anything terrible happening. Food is looking okay. They weren't able to get the harvest in on time because they're terrible at everything. We're deforesting pretty quickly. Kind of looking for the places where the trees are dropping, because there goes the firewood right there. The firewood just dropped by about 400, which means we're going to spend a lot of time chopping down trees. This might be the optimal, I almost said the optical location, but we are looking at it, so it's kind of the optical location. The optimal location for just clear harvesting almost. With some of these other locations taking second base to that. These deer are teases, look at that. They're right outside our magical force field that allows us to hunt them. Absolute teases. Why, dear? Why do you do that to me? One time you were dear to me, but now you're just outside my reach. Have I done enough bad puns yet? I think I've about packed enough bad puns into this episode for one day. I'll try and back off for now. Yeah, our wood supply is struggling. 6 students in, though, so I'm happy about that. That'll work out. Yasminerva the Miner has died of old age. Where else can we allocate supplies? So I think we already had... Are there any deer up here? I don't see any deer up here, so I don't really see that. Well, there are deer right here. So it might be worthwhile to allocate a couple hunters up here, seeing as our food is dropping off a little bit. And once this gets going, obviously we'll get another nice little infusion. Did I mention that it was little? I think I mentioned that it was little like 8 times. We'll get a nice little, and little. This guy's going to be working on the OT right now. We're not deforesting too rapidly. I think we should be alright. I mean, we are chopping down a lot of trees, but what are you going to do? A merchant has arrived. Ah, he's got our apple seeds, but he charged us way too much for them. How are you going to charge me 1,000 for apple seeds? Are they that good? I mean, it was a pretty good anime, but I didn't think it was that good. Got hide coats ready to go. We got 40 of those ready to go. He doesn't want pumpkins or anything else. See, that's disappointing because last time he did want pumpkins. And so I feel like, you know what, get out of my sight. I hate you. I absolutely despise you, sir. I wish to beat you about the head and shoulders. Get out of my face. You're overpriced and I hate you. We will continue forward with our nuts since that's all we have. We've got a lot of catch-up to be played here with regards to our logs. Kind of scary. Definitely worrisome. Since we're draining out on logs really fast. It's weird. It's a very strange game and a difficult one to keep your supply chain running in. We're down to 20 laborers right now, which means until our first range of educated people starts to pop out of this place, I'm left narrating a little bit and not really being able to move forward the way that I would like to. I want to make sure our entire society doesn't collapse because of education. Who would have ever thought? I mean, typically it seems to be the opposite. Societies tend to thrive on education, but what do I know? Education has the tendency to bottom you out in this game. Got a lot of herbs being provided. And I would almost say, you know what, keep them coming. Just herb the hell out of this place. We might as well. And I'll look at that number and see if it stays upwards. So I'm trying to come up with a solution to running out of logs here. Maybe I allocated that a bit too high. We'll go for 1,200 this time. Maybe that'll give us a minute or two to catch up on our log supply, which is at 900. A couple more people have died off, so we got Meriton and Millicey that's died off. It's bad. Dying is definitely bad. And Quintus has replaced Kemalania as a forester. God, just people dying everywhere. It's not a good time to be us. We got about one season left to go. I'm sorry, one more year left to go on that orchard, and I think it'll be ripe and ready to roll, which is good because our food supply is starting to drop off. Now, we will note that that's pre-harvest, so once we get our harvest back, everything should be nice and squared away. Yeah, unfortunate. We don't seem to be catching up on logs, and with so many log cutters with open space to be logged, I would like to make sure that they don't overdo it. Someone had mentioned that you might be able to put two of these side by side and have one that's just dedicated to planting and have one that's just dedicated to hunting all year round. I'm sorry, cutting all year round. And that might work out favorably. I hadn't tested it out, and it is definitely intriguing. It's a system that might be unique. A couple more students ready to go. And another merchant who's peddling all kinds of stuff. So he's got cheaper apple seeds, and he's willing to take a lot more stuff in trade. So I'll probably take that and maybe some logs. It wouldn't be a terrible plan. Let's throw 1,000 pumpkin in there. And we'll throw in all of our wood coats, or our wooden coats. We don't wear those. We'll throw in 100 herbs, because why not? 40 of those. Maybe 50 of our iron tools. And what's that going to put me at? That's going to put me at 3,000. And so I think that leaves me enough space to grab a couple extra logs from there. And also, let's maybe fill in the gaps with, I guess, 100 peaches. I like peaches. Peaches are delicious. And so there it is, the big trade of the century. Finally got to do a bunch of interesting stuff, and then we'll send him on his way once we've got everything swapped out. That does mean we're going to spend a brief period with all of our laborers running around bringing things back to where they need to be. It's now autumn, so we should see the benefit of the harvest really, really shortly. Well, we're still trimming ourselves a little bit close. Our food is dropping off by about 1,500 in this episode, so I think we've caught it about early enough to where we want to make sure we start coming up with some new food supplies if people would stop dying. If I have to cancel schooling again, I'm going to be really, really upset. Like, who's in class right now? Can I look at that anywhere? It's probably in this list. Oh, there it is right there. 11 students. So we have 11 laborers used up on random stuff right now, with no new ones coming in. I wish I could set a limit on how many people could be educated. That would be optimally how I would prefer to do it. It'd be like, okay, only have 10 people go here, and then after that, everybody else goes into the labor pool. Because starting with 25 laborers, we're already dropping off at just a ridiculous pace right now. I am hoping that this orchard will be the one that helps us out a little bit with our food discrepancy. Probably put in a hunting lodge if we wanted to, because there's a bunch of deer over here. That might help us with some of our food issues as well. Yeah, unfortunately, it's looking like we're going to have a famine, I think. unless I do something. So I think I'm going to cancel the school one more time. It's almost impossible to get a school settled. It is almost impossible. I don't know what it is about the school system, but it's just, I don't know. I dislike it. I strongly dislike it. None of the, like, the meters or anything that I would like to have, like, I would really like to limit this and be like, only one guy can do this, or only 5 people can become students, because right now, every time I try and have students, everybody dies off, and then I have to pull everybody out of school to put them to work, and it's just, I don't know how to fix this. There's no place for a market. Absolutely no place. We got a really terrible map, too, which is kind of screwing me in the long game. Like, half this map is basically mountains. But we persevere. Like we have any choice. I guess I'll put in a hunter's lodge up here, just to help out with food slightly. Then the other thing that I'd like to do is put in another cattle range. Let's see, how are you cold right now? There's plenty of firewood. I mean, we're getting to it. Come on now. And seeing as our wood has been pretty tapped out for the last couple seasons, I'd be willing to bet we're probably going through forest at a really, really good rate. So we may want to spread that around a tad too by putting another one up in here that can haul down to here. But first things first, let's work on food. So I would rather do a pasture. We'll do a 20 by 20 right there. And that'll be right on the outskirts of our big city area that we start to build over here. Food is dropping off pretty hard, so we are going to have to be very, very proactive right now. Like, we've really, really, really got to store up some food. I can take a look at her output to see if I've been hurting them with deforestation. No, the seasons are fine. So we're still pulling in loads and loads and loads of herbs from all of these places. It should be okay. And then what I want to do is I want to split this herd down here if it's maxed out already. It's at 21. Yep, there goes our reserve of food, which is apparently low. Even though we have 600 in the bank. It's these guys down here again. Yep. I think we may need to... I just don't know, guys. Absolutely baffled sometimes about how proactive, and once again, every time I gamble, every single time I gamble on the school, this happens. So I'm just going to leave the school alone and never touch it again, because apparently it's a death trap. We have a merchant, and all we can really do is hope that he's a food merchant. Why haven't we replaced any of the goods over here either? What's going on, guys? Not a single one of the goods has been replaced. And it's been a full season. That is a frustration. Do we just not have any? Is that... Oh, we have 2. Okay, so we just don't have any. No, there's probably an easier way for me. There we go. So we'll call that a 0. And we'll probably go with... Drop those off. I don't know what we have extras of right now. I don't think we have extras of just about anything. I guess we'll just trade using what we have. How many steel tools do we have versus... Why are steel tools out now too? What in the hell? Hold on, let me look around and figure out... Okay, so we have 107 steel tools in there. Okay. So that's how many... Let's see if we want to... We'll just sell off the remainder of the iron tools in exchange for a little bit of food for now. We'll get like 400 potatoes. And that's all we can really do for our people at the moment. We have no builders, so nothing is happening there, which was a giant dunce move on my part. So I'll allocate 5 builders to make sure everything gets done in the proper fashion. Looks like we received some kind of infusion of food. I don't know if that was from here. But that should stave us over for the season, possibly. That yield's going good. That yield's going now, too. So we may dig ourselves out. What we really need now is to get that hunting cabin going, because obviously there's deer running around all over the place. I may kind of sprinkle hunting cabins all throughout here and just let them run it all back to camp whenever it becomes useful to do so. Doesn't seem like too terrible of a plan. Alright, so we've got another field over here. Let's call that another sheep field. What we'll do is we'll split that herd between this one and the other one. My assumption is that we only need 4. Yeah. So we've got 4 guys working both sheep fields now. And once these fill up, we'll have a really, really good food supply. I mean, with 21 sheep all breeding, we should end up with what looks like 3 to 4 sheep every year that we can slaughter and take to market for meat and wool and everything else. So we should be okay. It's just hanging in there up to that point. Add to that hunting cabin right there with our excess laborers. Wood stocks recovering slightly. Coal stocks definitely recovering. Steel stocks a little bit low, or iron stocks a little bit low. That's okay though, we're going through a lot of tools and things. It should be okay. Get rid of those builders for a second. We put in a pecan field over, I didn't even notice that one. Okay, so we've got a pecan field in over here. It's now being harvested. Well, I'm doing just about everything that I can with the space that I've been given to make sure that everybody stays fed. It's just kind of a predicament. Maybe another herbalism lodge in and over here might be a good idea. Let's do that. We'll go an herb lodge right over Mya. So we need to find a better foresty area for it. We'll call everything north of that road. Yeah, that's what we'll do. Everything north of that road will be used for building, I guess. We'll build this way since it's a lot more flat, possibly, and this is a bit more mountainous, so... Or maybe I should... I don't know if I should use the flatland or whatever. I have no idea. Put a gatherer set right there. In late autumn, we're going in with about 3,000 food. Harvests have all been taken in. We did recover, though. I mean, we got a little bit of food back. So let's set up another selection down here. And mostly I just want to remove stone. I don't care about like everything else. Let's use all these laborers to get rid of some of this worthless stone that's up and in here. A couple more deaths, and I think I'm going to break the episode off at this point. We've managed to tread water for a little bit. I don't think we made any concrete gains here, but we definitely we're trying to hang in there anyways. We've got a bunch of laborers, which once again leaves me tempted to be like, should I start schooling my children? Every time I do it, though, things get scary. I don't know, guys. I just don't know. The laborers are the ones that we're using to cart food around in between locations and things, too. I may just allow myself to have a huge surplus of laborers before I even contemplate or entertain the thought of educating anybody. No clue. It's one of those things where every time I fiddle with it, I get burned. And so after the 3rd or 4th time that I touch the oven and it burns me, you figure either I'm touching it wrong, or I should probably make sure that everything's functioning as it should be before I do it. So, my name is Splattercat. Thank you for joining me here for another episode of Banished, which is by Shining Rock Studios. I am probably not going to draw this series out too much further. I don't think... What is that? Oh, good. An outbreak of mumps. Well, that'll be fun to deal with. Didn't I build a hospital already, though? Or was that in... Yeah, I did. I already built a hospital. Bam! Proactivity. Take that. So anyways, I'll see you guys in the next episode. As I was saying, I'm not sure how long I'm going to keep this going because I feel like I'm doing the same activities over and over and over again, just kind of like, oh, we're out of this, maybe we should set up another one of these. Oh, we're out of this, maybe we should set up another one of these. And I think you just sort of expand until you get to the point where it all implodes on you, and that's the game. So we may do, I don't know, I'd like to take this up to maybe 20 episodes, 25 episodes, but beyond that, I haven't put a hard concrete boundary on like 250 citizens, 500 citizens. We'll just see what happens. My name is Splattercat. I'll see you guys next time. Hi-do, everybody, and take care out there.